online workshop, online workshop on project management by Mr. Jayant D. Sate, retired project and construction manager at the Procter & Gamble. Project management includes initiating a new project, planning, putting the project plan into action, and measuring progress and performance. It also provides guidance for the project team's operations towards achieving all the agreed upon goals within a set scope, time, quality, and budget standards. According to a study, around 97% of the organizations believe that project management is critical to business performance and organization success. A great project management can deliver you the hard-earned success that you deserve. This workshop will help in building knowledge and skills for leading and directing project teams and delivering project results within various organizational constraints and balancing time, cost, and scope requirements. With this brief introduction, I request our principal to give the welcome address and introduce the resource person.
Good afternoon to one and all. This afternoon, we have this important online workshop on project management, and St. Joseph Engineering College is very happy and proud to welcome all of you to this webinar. This webinar is being presented by Mr. Jayant D. Sate, who has been associated with us through the Indo-Universal Collaboration on Engineering Education, and he is the Membership Relationship Coordinator from IUCE to St. Joseph Engineering College. We are very happy that this webinar, is being organized, and he is, going to bring out his immense experience in this field, and will be sharing with us a number of insights into project management. Project management, being such an important topic, we thought of tying up with some of the associations, industry associations we have in and around Mangalore and in the state of Karnataka. And thus we have very important partners associated with this webinar: the Confederation of Indian Industry, the Karnataka Small Scale Industries Association, the Canara Chamber of Commerce and Industry, CPMTA, Canara Plastic Manufacturers and Traders Association, IGBC, Indian Green Building Council, IST, Indian Society for Technical Education, NAIN, that is the New Age Incubation Innovation Network, and KSPA, Karnataka State Plastics Association. So these are important partners who have partnered with us, and through them we have been able to bring in a very good membership for our participation in this webinar from the industry. We have almost 70 people participating from the industry, and some of these people are from North India. There's even one participant from Qatar. And we are very happy that we have this participation. I think all the participants will be benefited in a big way. And we thank our partners for this association, for this partnership. The webinar is being conducted by the two departments in the college, departments of Business Administration and Civil Engineering. And the faculty of these two departments have put in a lot of effort to bring this webinar together in terms of publicity, contacting associations, and keeping up the entire, the preparation going on. And we also, I would also acknowledge the contribution of our management, especially in this webinar. We have present our director, Reverend Father Wilfred Prakash D'Souza, and assistant directors, Reverend Father Rohit D'Costa, as well as Reverend Father Alvin Richard D'Souza. And we have also our HR manager, Mr. Rakesh Lobo. And I would like to thank them for the entire support that has been given, all the facilities and the infrastructure provided for this important webinar. So I welcome all of the panel here. A hearty welcome to our management, our director, our assistant directors, HR manager, and all the heads of department who are there. A hearty welcome to the resource person, Mr. Jayant D. Sate. I would like to introduce him, Mr. Jayanti Sathe. He is retired project and construction manager, retired from Procter and Gamble, and he was working there for 32 years, involved in project management, construction management, and plant engineering assignments. In his career in P&G, in 32 years, Jayant has managed projects worth over $2 billion US. He was the founding president of the South Georgia Construction and Maintenance Council, a local construction user group in South Georgia. In addition to this, Jayant has also managed projects for Procter & Gamble in Mexico, Canada, and India. Jayant has delivered training at P&G and at social organizations at IITB and so on, especially in leadership talent development in areas of leadership versus management, personal and organizational vision development, goal setting, organization design, and so on. In fact, if you see the wide range of topics on which he has delivered training, actually this project management becomes only one component, and I'm sure there will be much more opportunities for us to have him for other training sessions too. Jayant has a BTech in Civil Engineering from the Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay, and MS in Building Design from the University of Connecticut, and an MSc in Construction Management from the University of Illinois. He is a registered professional engineer in the states of Illinois, Ohio, and New York in the US. Importantly, he is a member of the Global Industry Advisory Forum, a part of Indo-Universal Collaboration on Engineering Education since 2016. And this is where we met Mr. Jayant for the first time. Personally, I have seen how Jayant was able to bring a lot of organization into IUC. IUC was doing a lot of good work around, but it had to scale up and reach many more colleges and do many more programs. And that is where, and I've seen in the meetings that Jayant was able to bring in his wide experience in the industry into getting these events and programs organized in a better way. And that is how we got into dialogue and ultimately was able to, we are able to have this program today. And project management for us in this area, especially if you look at our districts of Dakshina Kannada, Udupi, with so many projects going on, Mangalore being identified as one of the smart cities which is going to come up, project management becomes a very important topic. So many industries were now coming up here. I think this will help us take important steps in making sure our projects go on very smoothly, and we will keep the dialogue going even after this webinar, and try to take things forward. I acknowledge and welcome Mr. Jayant Sathe. Sir, welcome to you. I am very happy that you are here with us this afternoon. It's very early in the morning for you. It's almost 4 a.m. and we appreciate you putting in all the effort to present this webinar to us from the US. I would like to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Sudarshan. Of course, the panel chairman of CASIA, but he could not be present. In his place, we have Mr. Yanar Jagadish, Honorable General Secretary of CASIA, Karnataka Small Scale Industries Association. Sir, hearty welcome to you to this webinar. We appreciate associating with you, and thank you so much for all the support. Thank you. I also acknowledge the presence of Mr. Prakash Rao. Mr. Prakash Rao is is the panel chairman of CII Mangalore, Confederation of Indian Industry, and he's also the managing director of Kalbavi Cashews. So he's representing CII. Sir, welcome to you. Welcome to this program. Thank you for all the support that you have given to make this webinar a successful one. So welcome to all the delegates who are taking part, the participants, and the faculty of the college, the organizing team. My great appreciation to the entire team. You have put in a great show. So I wish all of you a good session with Mr. Jayant Sathe. Thank you so much for all of your presence, and welcome to all of you once again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and I welcome to you too. Mr. Sudarshan V, panel chairman CASIA, will not be able to join this session as he has an emergency meeting with Principal Secretary of Honorable Chief Minister. Hence, instead, N.R. Jagdish, Honorable General Secretary CASIA, will give the inaugural address. I request Mr. Noel Deepak Shiri to introduce Mr. N.R. Jagdish.
Good afternoon. Today I have the honor of introducing you all to Sri N.R. Jagdish. Sri N.R. Jagdish is the General Secretary of CASIA. CASIA is an industry association of 12,000 strong nation-building small-scale industries from the state of Karnataka. He is an engineer with over 25 years of experience as an entrepreneur and the promoter of Janma Precisions in Bangalore. From an early part of his entrepreneurial life, Sri Jagdish evinced keen interest in mentoring small entrepreneurs and motivating the youth to become job creators rather than work for someone else. Thus, he went on to serve as Managing Council member from the Pina Industries Association (PIA) for over 10 years and also headed many panels. At CASIA too, he has been a council member and served in various panels for 7 years. Apart from this, Sri Jagdish is also active in social life as a philanthropist and Rotary President, Assistant Governor and Director, and also is a part of the Hospital Development Committee of Pina ESI Hospital, appointed by the Government of India. It's my immense pleasure to welcome Sri N.R. Jagdish for this inaugural address.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. It gives me immense pleasure to be part of this wonderful program and to deliver the inaugural address. So the program is very good. I was going through the program, so it has everything an entrepreneur or a businessman needs. And we have galaxy of renowned speaker in this. So I thank Mr. Jayan Sanjay, I welcome him, and I thank Dr. Rio Dizosa for giving me a chance to deliver inaugural address. As informed, CASIA is around 72 years old organization. So I bring greetings from my president and all the members of CASIA to all the distinguished speakers, delegates, and academics. CASIA is a premier institution representing the interests of SMEs in Karnataka, having representation in all major government committees, including membership of the MSME board in New Delhi. Besides the committee and the boards in the state such as KSREC, KDB, Pollution Control, and many other boards. CASIA is run by Council of Management elected annually with the President, Vice President, Honorary General Secretary, and other office bearers. CASIA functions as the eyes and ears of MSMEs and vigorously takes up with the government. Policy issues that concern the sector with regular interfaces. Today, CASIA has a national and international reach and exchanges delegation with important regions of the world, besides participating in fairs and exhibitions to benefit members and MSMEs in general. CASIA also conducts entrepreneur development programs in the engineering colleges, motivating the students to take up entrepreneurship, and we also do skill development programs in ITIs and polytechnics and engineering colleges, make them employable after their studies. CASIA as a skill development center, CASIA as a credit cooperative society to help its members, CASIA as an industrial infrastructure society also. In CASIA, we have a center of excellence which is coming up near Dabaspet, about 45 kilometers from Bangalore, where we want to motivate the students and give the skill development program. Then also innovation and to promote innovation in CASIA Innovation Center. Today's topics are very, very hot for any industry. It's a leader versus manager, impact on the organization, conflict management, risk management, timely decision making. All of these are very, very essential for an entrepreneur. I hope the participants will take a lot of benefit from this and they will be successful in their endeavor. And I wish all the best for the participants. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. I request Mr. Satyendra Bhatt to introduce Mr. K. Prakash Rao, Chairman CII Mangalore Chapter.
Good afternoon, everyone. Mr. Prakash Rao is the managing partner of Kalbari Cashews and the chairman of CII Mangalore. He is a mechanical engineer from MIT Manipal from the batch of 1986. After his engineering, he established a cashew processing industry in 1987 at Industrial Area Baikampadi and is currently running a state-of-the-art automatic cashew plant employing about 250 women workers in the same. His industry is a supplier of cashews to all modern retail stores and e-commerce. Mr. Prakash Rao has been very active in the cashew circle and has held various positions in the Karnataka Cashew Manufacturers Association for over 13 years. To add to it, he was also its president during the Golden Jubilee year and held this position from the year 2003 to 2007. Before going on to become the president, he had served as its secretary for 12 years. Mr. Prakash Rao has also been actively involved in other trade associations like Canara Small Industries Association and Canara Chamber of Commerce and Industry and was its honorary secretary during the year 2000-2001. He is the vice chairman of the Federation of Indian Cashew Industries, which is the national body to ensure the growth of this industry in the country. He was also the nominated director of Karnataka Cashew Development Board, a corporation established to ensure the growth of the production of raw cashew nuts in the state from August 2016 to March 2020. This is not it. He was the industry representative as an advisor on the panel for the project for the cashew industry executed by CEPCI Laboratory Kollam under the National Agricultural Innovative Project. Mr. Prakash Rao is very active in social circles like Rotary and is the past president of Rotary Club of Mangalore. He has the distinction of having achieved 25 district awards during that year, including the Best Club Award under all the avenues of service. He is a trustee in various educational institutions and is also involved in various school development bodies. Currently, he is the chairman of CII Mangaluru Zonal Council. Sir, it is a pleasure to have you address the participants of this workshop. I request you to kindly speak a few words.
Thank you, Mr. Bhatt, for a very generous introduction. So, it's my pleasure to be participating in this wonderful workshop that has been organized by the St. Joseph Engineering College. To the faculty, to the principal and the faculty of St. Joseph Engineering College, our resource person, Mr. Jayant Sate, and all the other participants of this workshop, greetings from CII, and very happy to be associated with you for more than one reason. Well, one reason being St. Joseph Engineering College is our active member, very esteemed member, and is always at the forefront on updating the young minds like this with knowledge that they will not just get in their textbooks. Well, the topic chosen also, the other reason being, is very relevant and important in today's context. As we are failing not for the lack of knowledge, but for the lack of practical knowledge. I think a classic example is in the recent forward that most of you would have received in your WhatsApp. This is a speech of our Honorable Union Transport Minister, Sri Nitin Gadkarji, while inaugurating a recent railway building, a very important building, which took over 10 years to complete. So instead of the regular practice of showering congratulations and good wishes to the people involved in it, he literally spared no efforts to contain his frustration and anguish on this delay and the colossal losses to the government which took place because of this delay. So every government project is in the same story, but we sometimes wonder if this is due to lack of skill or lack of leadership that keeps this repeating, that makes it repeat itself. Well, the third reason why I am so happy to be associated with this is because we got such an experienced expert on this subject as a resource person in Mr. Jayant Sate, who has been at this job for over 3 decades, I'm told, associated with Procter & Gamble. So it's a great honor to be with this program and hear him on this very important topic. I'm really happy that the institution has involved all the trade organizations, be it CASIA, be it the Chamber of Commerce, be it the CII. I think it's a very important understanding that today the industry-academia interaction is what is lacking. I think there is a lot of knowledge on one side, but the lack of practical knowledge is because of the lack of interaction, and this is something we have to really strengthen. The students or whatever, I think the experience on bridging that gap between what you study and what you're actually supposed to do post your studies is something that's very critical today. And I'm very happy that the institution is now in this process, involving all the organizations and strengthening this system. But CII, as you know, is one of the strongest voice in the Indian industry and has been at the forefront in providing policy advocacy and a lot of conflict resolutions too for the Indian industries with the government, be it the state or the central. It has always focused on bringing knowledge on the latest developments for any sector through its 9 centers of excellence located all over the country. These centers of excellence, CII Institute for Quality, Bangalore, the ITC Center of Excellence for Sustainable Development, Competitiveness for SME Centers, Centers for Manufacturing Excellence, Mumbai, Center for Innovation, Entrepreneurs and Startups, etc. All of them are established with an objective of building competitiveness for the stakeholders and nurture experts who are trained and skilled on the state-of-the-art technologies. Necessarily, these centers of excellence catalyze and facilitate to create and sustain capabilities and competitiveness of organizations with a view to impact the Indian industry. I see this Institute of St. Joseph Engineering College also as a center of excellence where it focuses on not only on grooming young engineers but also develop leadership required for this 21st century. And I would like to congratulate them on this initiative, and I'm sure this will be very useful to the participants of this workshop today. I'm not stepping into the topic on interfering with the presentations of Mr. Sate, but I would like to only reiterate its importance today in public and private sector both. Today, India is one of the leading outsourcing hubs in the world. However, the world judges us not just by talent that we have to offer, but also on the basis of our infrastructure capabilities. India has set an ambitious $1 trillion investment in the infrastructure in the 12th five-year plan, and in spite of allocating huge budgets for these investments, we have consistently been riddled with time and cost overruns due to the regulatory clearances or environmental clearances, or issues pertaining to acquisition of land or to a large extent. But a study conducted by the KPMG actually revealed that all these failures happened due to acute shortage of skilled project managers. Now, this is the ground reality in the heart. So it's not just about training engineers every year, but we must turn out engineers who are skilled with all knowledge to make them effective leaders and with responsibility. So I know you have many case studies here today to be presented that will be very interesting to all the participants. But a classic case is a project at our own doorstep that concluded very recently, is a port connectivity project that is on NH 66 from Bantwal to Surathkal Highway, which was handled by a company called IRCON. It's basically to do with the railways, but it also went into the national highway projects. So it was a project to be completed in 7 months, and believe us, it took more than 7 years to complete. It was a stretch of 37.48 kilometers and it started in 2005. National Highway Authorities of India handed over this entire stretch to this IRCON for completion of this project in 7 months. But unfortunately, the problems that I mentioned earlier, be it of land acquisition, be it of whatever litigations that have come up, it has delayed these projects, and there were so many other issues with the project management itself, which delayed. And as a result, for 5 to 6 years, the roads in the entire stretch was not even maintained. So it became impossible to fly on these roads because National Highway kept saying that the roads have been handed over to the IRCON, and IRCON kept saying our job is to build new roads, not to maintain them as of now. So NHAI has to maintain the road and hand it over to us. So these tussles and project management issues led to such inconvenience to the public at large. It went into public outcry, and finally, after 7 years, we got these projects completed. They claim it was IRCON's baby once handed over, but at the end of the day, I think the public at large are responsible, that we must be proactive and ensure that these things don't happen. So there is a role for all of us to play when such big projects are being implemented also. So I look at it as a classic example of a total project management failure issue. So it's very important for us to look at project management as a very critical subject, and I'm happy about this workshop having got started with the same. So in an era where we are heading for a huge investment in infrastructure, in the backdrop of heading towards a 5 trillion economy, if at all it's going to happen, this subject requires very critical focus, and I'm happy the St. Joseph Engineering Institute is organizing this workshop. I'm very happy to be participating in this and wish the participants very, very useful deliberations in the hours to come now. And we are fortunate to have Mr. Sathe to speak on this subject, and we know he will share with us his 3 decades of experience on this subject. So I'm sure it will immensely benefit all of us. So I would like to commit to SJEC, our member, that CII will always play a very proactive role on such programs, and we will share our resources from our 9 centers of excellence available in this country. To our esteemed member, it is up to you to make the best use of CII resources for the benefit of this institution. So once again, I thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak, and I wish the deliberations all success. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We would appreciate an interactive session from the participants. So if you have any queries, please post it in the chat box or Q&A section to the host. Now I request Jayant sir to take over. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Principal Rio D'Souza, for a great introduction. Thank you, Rio. And really appreciate the comments made by Mr. Prakash Rao, because I agree with everything he said. Project management is a key to delivering all the infrastructure projects. So With this, I think I'm going to turn my video off because I understand that it's eating up a lot of the bandwidth and my voice may not be continuous, it may be breaking. So I'm going to turn my video off, right, Keith? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
You can start sharing your screen as well, the presentation.
Yeah, but how do I turn it? How do I turn the video off? I'm sorry. Okay, it's not off yet.
I'll turn it off from my side. Don't worry.
Okay, please do. Please do.
Yeah, it's off now.
Okay. You see my slides now?
No, you have not yet started sharing. Can you share it?
I thought I had the slide on there.
No, it was an image shared by me.
Okay, can you put me back? I'm so sorry, people. I thought we had a practice, but...
Yeah. No problem. You are now the presenter. You can click on share.
But okay, I need to get back here.
Yeah.
Okay, share. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Now can you share?
It's coming up. Yeah. You can go to the first slide and start from the beginning. Yeah.
Can you see it now?
Yes. Yes. Please proceed.
Okay. So thank you for all the comments, and let's just get started. Okay. A standard project management workshop would need to address topics like planning and scheduling, cost engineering, estimating, along with the information about available software for these areas. Also, when we say a workshop, it needs to offer an opportunity for the attendees to break out in small teams and do some actual hands-on work. Why is that? Why is that important? Because project management is about leading a team of people to solve problems. So if you can't break out and work together, you can't do that. However, today we only have 2 hours together. So to make better use of our time, we'll focus on some fundamental skills that a project manager needs to possess that he or she cannot outsource. You know, you can always outsource planning and scheduling, cost estimating to a contractor, but you really cannot outsource the basic fundamental of project management skills. Okay, however, in future, when we are on the other side of these COVID-19 issues, we plan to do a 3-day face-to-face project management workshop. Yes, I said face-to-face. Yes, I plan to be in your beautiful coastal city with you. When we meet, we will address all the components of the project management. We'll do the breakout groups and all that. Until then, we'll probably meet a few more times like this, like today, for a couple hours at a time to do remote workshops on some additional topics in project management. Okay? Please, am I breaking up or am I okay? Okay, I'll continue on. Okay.
You're okay, James. You're okay. Please continue.
Okay. Okay. So let's look at what project management is and why we need it. But before we do that, I have a couple of questions for you. Okay. So let's start. Keith, you're going to do the polls, right? So the first question is project management a new fad? Some people think it's a fad. Is it a new fad? Keith, can you still please instruct people on how they vote?
Yeah, there's slight problem with the poll. We are just sorting it out.
Okay, so shall I continue?
Yeah, you can continue. The answers can be put in the chat box.
Answers can be put in the chat, yes.
Yeah.
I don't see the chat, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I'll keep going. Okay.
Yeah.
Some people may say it's a new fad, but the answer is a resounding no. It is not a fad and it is not new. Okay. So then how old is project management? Okay, that's the next question. How old is project management? And if you would please answer, again, I'm sorry, I don't get to see the chat box. I'll give you a minute not a minute, but a few seconds to say, how old do you think project management is? Okay.
Okay, we have.
Sorry?
Yeah, I ask the participants kindly to post your answers in the chat box.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I'm getting one answer as 50 years.
I just saw somebody saying 1,000 years, but okay.
Yeah.
Well, my answer is that project management is as old as humanity. As long as we have lived, we have always built stuff, we have always done stuff with a group. So we've always been managing projects, okay? Now, some very old examples, the pyramids in Egypt, how long ago was that? Somebody built them, so they had to have some form of project management. Taj Mahal, which you can say is the fairly new 1630s, whatever, but it still needed project management for a structure of that magnitude. Some modern examples, like Kumbh Mela, that was organized from January to March in Prayagraj or Allahabad, that needed immense amount of project management and was very successfully done. But so project management is not new, it's old. So then the next question comes up. Is project management only for engineering projects? Because I have some people coming and saying, oh, now I see the poll. Okay. So please answer, is the project management only for engineering projects? I don't see the answer, but 15, 17, 18 seconds. Okay. I go ahead. I contend that everybody does project management every day. Have you ever planned a vacation for your family? That's a project. And if you were the key person planning it, it's what town do you go to? Do you fly? Do you take a train? Do you drive? How many days? Where do you stay? What's your budget? When do you leave? When do you come back? It's a project. It's still project management. That's what you are doing. You may not see it that way, but it is still a project. Okay. So let's look at what is project management and why we need that. Okay, a little bit of, 52% said, no, nobody said it's only for engineering. That's wonderful, thank you. A little bit of history, okay? We said people have always been doing projects, but until about early 1900s, the civil engineering projects, they were generally managed by creative architects, creative engineers, and there was something called master builders. And they did engineering. I don't think anybody did any calculations on a piece of paper to show anybody, but they know how to build it. Then came, after World War II, in the early 1950s, a discipline of project management was developed. And that came about from several fields of application, like civil construction, engineering, because engineering plays a big role in it, defense projects. That's where it got very critical to get it organized. This is also the time of beginning of scientific management. I'm sure all of us have seen Frederick Taylor's work, the time motion studies work. So that's the scientific project management, scientific management for complex projects. People were really concerned about complex projects that took forever. Now, there was a gentleman named Henry Gantt, G-A-N-T-T. who passed away in 1919. So he was not there when the scientific project management came around. But before he died, he had developed a planning and control technique, which was very important because it assessed how long a project will take, it will determine the resources needed, determine the sequence of activities, and very critically, interdependencies. Because if you don't understand interdependencies, you really lose it. This helped simplify complex projects. I wouldn't say that made it simple, it simplified it. But then in 1950s, in the United States, the DuPont Corporation and the Rand Corporation came together and decided to use the Gantt chart mechanism to form a technique that today we take it for granted as critical path method, CPM. And there are several ways to do it. We won't look at it today, but when we get together for 3 days, we will look at different ways of doing that. Okay, so now let's look at, we saw the background of project management, history of project management. So let's look at what is project management. Do I take this off my screen?
You can just click on close.
Yeah, okay. So what is project management? Project management is the process of leading a team. I have underlined some words like process of leading a team to deliver commitments to the customer within given constraints. So it's not whenever I get to it, but you have made a commitment within given constraints. So we will look at the words that I have underlined in a minute. But before that, let me also say that there are many specialized forms of project management. Okay. There is construction project management, which is project management specifically used in construction. There is IT, information technology project management, biomedical project management. There is engineering project management. So you can develop project management for any business. I know some people are developing project management for real estate development business. So you can apply the basic principles of project management to any business you are in, and that's where it becomes a specialized form. But the basic principle of project management doesn't change. Okay, so let's go look at what these particular words are. Okay, so let's take one at a time. I said process. What does process mean? That means it typically has to go through different steps. You have to initiate a project. That means initially you diverge and then you converge. So initiate a project, then you plan a project, you go into production or execution of the project, then monitoring and controlling, and then eventually closing. So the reason I call it a process because it's a series of actions or steps taken in order to achieve a particular end. Okay? And how is it done? It is done with a team. What is a team? Individuals from different disciplines working together to deliver the goals of the project team. It's not just a collection of people. Everybody has to be working on the same objective. They're pulled in the same direction. Now, when people say civil project, you build a building, you need more than just a civil engineer. You need piping, electrical, mechanical, HVAC. I mean, you need all those disciplines. So as a project manager, I'm a civil engineer, but I have to get out of just civil engineering and look at as a whole team that people brought different disciplines to it. Okay, let's keep going. Then the phrase I underlined was delivering the commitments. What does commitments mean? What are those commitments? When do I start the project? When do I complete the project? Those are times that I agree that Mr. Rao talked about earlier, the issue. And what I deliver, the quality that I promise. So if I'm building a production plant, it's the production volume. If I'm building a bridge, it's the usable quality bridge. committed to the customer. Who's the customer? That's the one who is chartering the project, who is paying for this project, who is responsible for this project, who is my customer. And then the last one is within given constraints. What does that mean? That means we have agreed to a scope. This is how much work we will do. We have agreed to a budget. We have agreed to timing and quality. And within the legal boundaries talk about environmental impact issues and stuff that Mr. Rao talked about. Now, how many projects today, especially in the public sector, that we know that we deliver on time and within budget? We eventually deliver all the scope, but okay. Now, I say that our public sector, private sector is a little bit better, but still needs a lot of help, okay? So let's keep going. Okay, so this is an introduction to what is project management. We're going to use the approach of case studies, okay? But before I close that, let me just say that we need project management. We need to understand it. We need to learn it. We need to practice it so that we can deliver commitments to the customer, okay? So now let's change gears and look at some of the very important concepts that project managers must learn and master. These are not the technical items that we're going to go through today, like planning, scheduling, cost engineering, cost management. These are what I call soft skills of project management. And if you don't have these skills as a project manager, then if you can have the best scheduling, the best schedule, the best cost management, but I promise you will still not deliver the project successfully, okay? So let's look at case studies. But before we jump into a case study, let's talk a brief minute about why and what of case studies, okay? So why do we look at case studies analysis? Case studies are used in exploratory research. It helps generate new ideas. It illustrates theories. Medical research uses this methodology a lot. I think that's where we learned it from. But why do we do it? Because it describes an individual situation. That's what we call a case, an individual situation. It identifies key issues of that case. Now, what are the key issues? I sent you these case studies, so all of you have looked at these case studies, and I have attached some questions at the bottom of the case study. So those are the key issues in the case. And the analysis the case is using theoretical concepts. So what we will do today, I've given you 4 case studies. I hope you have had an opportunity to read that, and I hope that you have done some analysis of that, because for each of the case study, we will briefly first look at the case, and I won't read it. I'll just, you have it, you've read it, I'll just explain it briefly, and then we'll look at the questions. After we answer the questions, I will come back and I will explain the underlying theory behind this case, behind individual cases, okay? Keith, I'm doing okay. Can you hear me? Right, and don't have any feedback.
Yes, no problem.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so let's look at the first case study of leader versus manager. And really, what is the impact of a leader on the organization and the manager on the organization? Okay, so the case is in front of you, but you have already read the case. If you registered, you got the comment, you got the case to study. There is a company that's been in production of making some components for automobile business. They've been around for a long time, and they have a good plant manager, and they have good their reputation for developing good units and delivering them on time, meeting schedules. There are two key people in the plant. One is a production manager. His name is Shankar, and one is an engineering leader, a younger person, whose name is Rohan. Now, these two gentlemen, the plant manager has now announced his retirement, that he wants to retire. He gives a notice to the board. Board is considering who do we replace, because we have a very good reputation in the marketplace. We need to have a right person. And so they decide that they are going to promote from within. They're not going to bring a plant manager from outside. And so the word leaks out that the shortlisted people are Shankar, the production manager, and Rohan, the engineering manager. People are very delighted because Shankar had a reputation for running the shop really well and delivering the product with the best quality because he had implemented all the quality assurance techniques. And then Rohan, who joined later after engineering college, he started in the production area, but he had learned all about manufacturing processes, raw materials, good maintenance practices, and now, so he endeared himself to the plant manager. Plant manager liked his curious mind, his ability to grasp the technical components and performance, and always look for what is the right production cost with the materials and with performance. So the question is now, who does the company appoint as a plant manager? And the company decided to appoint Rohan as the plant manager, who's younger, and not Shankar, who was very liked by everybody because he's been there the longest and a really good worker and a good people person. So the question is, first question, was the board right in appointing Rohan as the plant manager? Okay, I'd like to see your answers. Because again, there is, in a way you can say there is no right or wrong answer. Whatever the board decides to do, it's going to have an impact on the business and on the plant in the long term. And we'll talk in a minute about what that impact would be while you are. Okay, how long do we take, Keith? 45 seconds?
Another 10 seconds more.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
Then I will close it.
Okay. Okay. We closed it now. Do we see the result? Because the next question is going to be, okay.
Yeah. I'll just share the results. Okay.
Okay, good. 44% think that the board was right in appointing Rohan, and 17% said that they were not right in appointing Rohan, and then 38% abstained from voting. Okay, well, thank you. Again, like I said, there is no right or wrong answer. We'll look at the impact of that. Okay. So if you answered yes, I'd like to know why you would support the decision. And if you say no, the 17% that said no, why do you say it's wrong decision? And Keith, I think we can take only one or two people, right? Because otherwise we'll lose a lot of time.
Yeah.
So can you explain to people how they answer?
Yeah, if you are interested, you can raise your hand. There's an option called as raise your hand. I will unmute you and you can give your answer verbally. Or if you are feeling comfortable with using chat box, you can do that as well.
Okay, do we have anybody who wants to talk?
Yeah.
I'm just curious as to why they say yes or why they say no. This is very different for me looking at a computer screen and talking and not able to see people. Have done a lot of training, but this is the first time I'm doing it without seeing the participants. So I cannot see your body language. I cannot see your facial expression when I ask the question. So it's very different for me.
Yeah. I don't see anybody raising their hands to give the answers.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
we can keep moving.
Yeah, I have one person who has raised a hand. Okay. Yeah. Suchetan Shetty, you can now tell your answer.
Did you say yes or no, sir?
Suchetan?
It's not working.
He is unmuted.
His answer is no.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, sir. You can proceed. Yeah, you can proceed, sir. So there's one more answer that has come in the chat box. It says yes because Rohan is young and energetic and he can bring new ideas into the plant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll continue on.
Yeah, sure.
So thank you people for answering. Wish it was more interactive, but okay. So let's talk about the difference between a leader and manager. Okay. We use those terms interchangeably many times. And I agree there is some degree of overlap between the two people, a leader and a manager. But there are major differences between the two. Let's explore some of them. Now, when we do a leadership module, when we do face-to-face, we'll take a lot more time, or we may do another session like this just on leadership, and we will take a lot more time with that. Okay, but for right now, let's look at what do the leaders do? The leaders create something that did not exist before. Okay, so the leaders lay out a vision, and leaders inspire people to turn their dreams into reality. Okay, therefore leaders have followers. Okay, leaders can rise from any ranks in the organization, from any ranks in the society. They have certain characteristics, but the main characteristic is that they help people see a picture of the future and help them turn those dreams into reality. Where do they get their power to do all this? Their power is their personal power. It's me as a leader. I am the one who is giving you the picture, and so I will help you get there. Managers, on the other hand, they sustain the status quo. Okay? So they focus on setting, measuring, and achieving goals. Very, very important function. Okay? They refine the structure and the processes, and they improve them. Now, how do they do that? They have staff assigned to them. So people have been assigned to them through whom they can do this work. So where do they get their power? They get their power from the organization. So they have organizational power over people. The leaders don't. Leaders don't have an organization. They may also at times, somebody is assigned as the president of the company can be a good leader. So they have both personal power and organizational power. Okay. However, I am not suggesting that one is better than the other. No, absolutely not. Every successful organization needs both the leaders and the managers. They are just rewarded differently, but both of them must be rewarded. Why? Because if you have in the organization is full of leaders, no managers, just leaders, you will have nothing but chaos in the organization, because the leaders just keep painting the pictures and saying, this is where we're going to go and this is what we're going to do, but there's nobody to maintain that structure. Okay, so we do need the managers in the organization to support the leaders' vision and stuff, because if that's not there, you're going to have chaos. You have a new plan every day. And I'm sure some of you have seen that at your own workplace or your family, whatever. But if the organization has only managers and they have no leaders, they will not renew, the organization will not renew itself. And the organization will eventually go into oblivion. So in this particular case, what the board saw between Rohan and Shankar, Shankar was very good at delivering the units that he was delivering, but he would keep delivering the same units, would not look at improving the cost structure, would not look at different materials, the competition, and eventually it may become meaningless because the business, the industry has moved somewhere else and Shankar hasn't been able to take the organization there. Now Rohan, on the other hand, is looking at different materials, different ways of doing stuff, maybe even different products. And that will keep the organization in a very competitive place. But he does need Shankar. Without Shankar, he will not be able to deliver all that, because you have to have managers in the company to keep the company running smoothly. But you got to have leaders to come up with the new concepts and new plans and stuff. Okay? So are there any questions? I know we went through it very quickly, very briefly. I'm just exposing you to the thought. We'll do more when we have the next session on leadership. Keith, people can ask the questions. Raise the hand.
Yeah. If anybody has any questions that are related to leader versus manager, I request you to please put it in the chat box so that we are able to address it before we move on to the next topic. There's one question which asks, can a person be both manager as well as a leader?
Yes, very good question. Every one of us is a manager and a leader. Okay, now the question is, are you a leader for most of the part? Then I call you a large L. Are you a manager for the most of the part? Then I will call you a large M. So most people are either large L and small m, means their personality is more leader personality. They can do some managing, but there are people that are mostly managers, large M and a small L. And when we do this session on leadership, we'll look at the person can evaluate themselves on the number of questions we have and figure out if they are basically leader, basically manager, because if you take a job that's mostly leadership job and you have a large M, you're going to be a failure, and vice versa. But you can be trained, even leadership can be trained for a person who is naturally a large M and small L. They can still learn to be a leader. That's a very good question. Thank you. I don't know who asked it, but I should have mentioned that on my own. Sorry. Okay. Keith?
Yeah, I think that was the only one question. I request the participants to post the questions directly to me, that is the host. Don't post it to the speaker because he is not able to see the chat window. Okay, so if you have any questions, please post it in the chat box where it says to, just mention host or all the panelists. It will be visible to all of us. Thank you. We can proceed, sir.
Okay, so we can come back and talk. You can send me an email if you have. I can respond to your email outside of this. But let's move on to the next area. Okay, the next area is conflict management. So let's take a minute about why. You might even say, why do you worry about it? Let people figure it out. No, as a leader of the organization, you have to worry because it affects your organization. And by organization, I mean if you're a project manager, you have a project team. And if there is a conflict that's not resolved, goes unnoticed, your project team will be distracted and will not be able to deliver its objectives. And so if you have unresolved conflicts in your project team, folks, you have a problem. But like leadership, conflict management is also a big topic and also a very important topic. So again, in today's session, we're going to be only able to touch on this topic. In our 3-day face-to-face, we can do more justice to it. Or if it works out, we could do another session on conflict management. It could easily be an hour plus, because there are so many different forms of conflict that we can talk about, and strategies to maybe resolve it. So, okay, I'll move on to the next one. Here is again, I hope you have read the story. The story about these two gentlemen, Prakash and Vijay. Prakash is an architect and Vijay is a structural engineer. Prakash's background in architecture is, he's been with the company for a while, but he's been more of the urban planning type of architect. And he has not been with in the building business of the company, though he's been with the company for 5 years. And he's known as a very good urban planning architect. Vijay, on the other hand, is a structural engineer, and he's always been with the building. He's been with the company for 2 years as an engineer, and he has a good reputation for being a good structural engineer. So now there are two people coming from two different backgrounds, but they are assigned to this building project. Okay, so they have a building frame that's laid out with column spacing, and for all of you structural engineers, you'll appreciate it. Others, please bear with me. So the column spacing in each direction is 8 meters. Not too terribly bad, but it's a good sized building. And the beam depth is fixed at 20 centimeters. And Vijay proposed that frame, everybody agreed and went ahead. Now, our friend Prakash is meeting with the customer, and he decides to impress the client, the customer, and says, hey, you know what? I would like to go twice the length. Instead of 8 meter base, let's make it 16 meters. That way you have a lot of open area in between. Now, the building height is fixed because the local regulations, which some of you, I understand, may not be familiar with zoning, but the most cities, most neighborhoods have restrictions that say your building cannot be taller than this much or whatever. And for multiple reasons, like in Munich, they have cathedral, and no building in the city can be taller than the cathedral. So you can say, well, what does that mean? Well, that's what the city decided. I lived at the beach in Florida, and no building at the beach can be taller than 35 feet. So they are called the zoning laws. So there was a zoning law that says we can't really raise the building height anymore, and therefore we cannot give Vijay any additional depth than 20 centimeters for the beams. Well, how is that going to work if he is going to double the span of the beam? So when Vijay finds out, he says, I can't do this, you can't do that. He says, if you're going to ask me for 16 meter span, you have to give me more depth. But he's now very emotional about it because he feels like he's coming off to the customer as not being able to deliver what was promised. So he says, well, where do you come off asking for 16 meter span without giving me depth? It cannot be done. Now, Prakash is upset because he's committed to the customer, and he says, hey, 16 I have committed to the customer, and so therefore I need it. Okay, so Prakash says to Vijay, do you know how to design buildings? I need 16 meter span, and you tell me you can't figure out how to do it? Get creative, man. Go ahead. And so they're both very emotional. They're now digging their heels in. And Vijay is offended that Prakash challenged his knowledge and his creativity. So he says, listen, fella, you're no longer doing street planning, okay? You're in building. So now they're getting personal. They're losing the sight of the customer. They're just getting, don't challenge me in building design. I've been doing it for longer than you. And so Vijay says, Prakash says, Vijay, if you don't know how to do it, I go to the chief engineer and ask him to give me someone else, because architects are always the boss, you know. So that's the story. Now, there is a poll, Keith, and so what happened? What caused the conflict? You know, were Prakash and Vijay both not acting as team members towards a common objective? Were they both insecure about their position in the company, so they could back off? Did the project manager put in a change management procedure so Prakash could not do something without getting agreement from the rest of the team, so Vijay wasn't to be surprised? Or is it all of the above? Okay, we'll give them a minute. Oh, you're close. Yeah. Okay.
We have
curious as where people come out.
Yeah. So we have another 5 more seconds, then it will close.
Okay. Okay. So where are people coming out on this?
So I'll just post the result. It is closing.
Okay.
Yeah. So we had around 30 of them answering this particular poll.
Okay.
So the results are...
So majority of 57% did not answer. Unfortunate. So there's an even split between Prakash and Vijay were not acting as team members. That is very true. But then it's all of the above is also true. In my mind, it's all of the above. Yeah, those two guys were not acting as towards a common objective. They were protecting their own prestige, whatever. They were both insecure in their company because one was there for 2 years, one was there for 5, but just moved from one area of the company to another. And if he could not deliver what he promised the company, then he would think his job is in jeopardy. And the project manager also failed in this because the project manager, he or she, did not have a change management system. Again, all you project managers out there, very, very critical to establish a base and then establish a change management system where all disciplines can talk about the impact of this change, proposed change, and the change is then accepted and committed to the customer until everybody is aligned. And so it takes time. It doesn't make any heroes, but it makes the project team deliver on their commitment. So yeah, it's a very important thing to remember that you have to work as a team, and one person cannot outdo the other. There are no individual heroes if the project doesn't get delivered. Just like Mr. Rao talked earlier about the bridge project. There are no individual heroes. So, okay, let's move on to the next poll. Do you believe that it can be resolved to the satisfaction of both the parties? Where somebody, the project manager, steps in, not somebody, this is the role of the project manager, and help resolve where both of them can be satisfied. This should not take too long, Keith, because it's only A or B, not 4 answers.
Yeah. I'll close the poll in another 5 seconds.
Okay.
Almost 60% of them have answered. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. So I'll close the poll.
Okay. And the answer is?
So I can read out the answer to you before it comes up.
Sure.
Yeah, so around 52% of them have said yes, and
Yes.
12% have said no, and
Okay.
37% no answer. Yeah.
Okay, but 52, good. 52 believe that it can be resolved to satisfaction of both. Yes, I agree. And we'll talk more about the theory in a minute. Let's do one other poll. Okay. Let's see one more question. Why can I not?
Yeah, it's done.
Okay. The next question is conflict always a bad thing and therefore is to be avoided at all cost? I mean, that question gets asked quite often, saying, oh my God, no, let's not have any conflict. Is it always a bad thing? So please answer the poll. Okay, Keith, I turned off my poll question thing, so I can't see if people have stopped answering. Keith, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. I'll just show the poll results. Yeah.
Okay. 57% said no, it's not always a bad thing to have conflict. Very true. If managed properly and resolved properly, conflict can actually take the organization to a higher place. So, yeah, very good answer. And I agree with your answer for the majority. Now, let's look at what is conflict management. Conflict can be defined as a disagreement that causes people involved to perceive a threat to their goals. Okay? Perceive the threat to their goals, their interests, or their needs. A mere disagreement is not a conflict. If it is a disagreement that has reached an emotional level, is a conflict. And why do I say that? Because when we do brainstorming sessions, we have one person has one idea, another person has another idea, but we are not getting emotional about it. We are putting our thoughts out there. And so mere difference of opinion or disagreement is not a conflict, okay? But when we get emotional about it, that's a conflict. So what is the conflict management? How do you manage? So it's a process of limiting the negative aspects of conflict while increasing the positive aspects of conflict. So like I said, we got to get the emotions out of it. That's the negative part of the conflict. But there are usually good decisions in there, good questions in there. And so we want to manage the conflict to enhance the effectiveness or the performance in an organizational setting. Again, I keep saying organization is true for organization, but for all us project managers, our project team is our organization. So it is important to manage the conflict to enhance the organization. The aim for professionals in the workplace should not be to avoid the conflict, but to resolve it in a constructive manner. Okay? So let's look at for a brief moment about you can resolve the conflict in a constructive or in a destructive mode. Constructive is like people involved have learned something useful out of it and they have grown personally from the conflict. The team has developed a clear, effective solution for the problem at hand, and the people involved with the problem have fully committed to deliver the solution. So that's what happens most times. If you don't resolve it fully, You think you have resolved it, you tell people to go do it, and people don't do it because they have not fully committed to doing it. Now, what is a destructive conflict management? Well, no decision is reached. The project manager doesn't step in and decision isn't taken about the problem at hand. And so there are ill feelings that it causes, or the problem remains unresolved. The conflict consumes people time and emotional energy, meaning that this is taken away from the daily activities. That's when a lot of conversations happen at in the cafeteria, eating lunch. People are talking with each other. It's like they're not working on the project. They're all angry, upset, mad because they're not getting what they're asking for. Team morale is damaged, and when the team morale is damaged, then there is no cohesion in the team. It's very difficult to get anything done. And as a project manager, you have really lost it at that point. But a properly managed conflict can improve the organization. Okay. Now, there's a whole lot more to talk about conflict and conflict management. But we will have to do it in a longer session on just conflict management or a face-to-face. So do you have any questions that we can quickly try to answer?
Yeah. The participants have any questions related to conflict management, I request you to kindly post it in the chat box. Okay. So most of them are saying that the concept is very clear. I think we can proceed.
Okay. So at this point, we be maybe a little less. So let's take a 5-minute break.
Yeah. So we'll be back at 4:32. So it's 4:27 right now. Okay. Okay. All right. Welcome back, everyone. We will resume the session. So before we go on to the next topic, I have 2 questions for Jan sir. So first question is there any strategy to manage conflict without emotionally getting involved into it?
Yes. There are strategies, many different strategies. Needs to be impartial. You cannot, and you have to take yourself as an individual out of the picture. Otherwise, people can see through it. You think you may be so smart to hide it, your emotion that you prefer A versus B, and then people don't think you are being really honest. And if they don't think you're honest, they don't feel that you're really impartial, it will not work. People lose confidence in your leadership. So, yeah, but it can be done. And again, it takes a lot more time to talk about first, what is the kind of conflict? What is creating the conflict? Is it structural? Is it people's egos are in the way? Is it, there are like half a dozen different categories of conflict, and each will have a different way of trying to resolve it. It's not one. Okay. Let's move to the second one. Keith?
Yeah. The second question is when we have difference of opinion, how to put it across to a leader without hurting his or her feelings?
Okay. Let's focus on what is the objective. The objective is an organizational decision that we need. If we're trying to come up with it's not that this is what I think, therefore it is the only way to go. Let's understand where do we want to go, what are the different perspectives that people are bringing in, because everybody comes with a different background. Even in the same family, same organization. People have different emotional backgrounds, different experiences. So to say mine is the best answer will never resolve the conflict. We have to really understand and be willing to compromise. And so to tell your boss, these are the differences of opinion. These are the different options. I wouldn't even talk about, well, I say this, but he says that, and therefore he's wrong. You already had two.
Yeah.
So again, it will take more time to talk and do some group discussion at a longer session.
Yeah. One more question. Sometimes leaders will not listen to managers. How to convince the leader in those cases?
He's saying the leader has his answer, his or hers, and is looking for support from the team to say, that's what I want to do. It could be that. It's again, the leader is not being a good conflict resolver. If the leader doesn't want to listen to people or have biases against people, thinks that, oh, that a person is, I don't know, he's too selfish, whatever, they think of themselves, I don't like them. Those things, you're not a good leader if you're doing that to your team. The same direction, and if they don't respect you as a leader, so it's really tied back into leadership and into conflict management. If people don't trust you, you cannot resolve their conflicts. Okay.
Yeah, we'll move on.
Okay.
Those are the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for the questions. And it really says that we need to think next about maybe leadership and conflict management together or whatever, but we can talk that later. Okay, let's move on, people. Welcome back. We'll now get into, I'm going to change the conversation a little bit because we have two more case studies, and I know case studies are important, but also this topic is very, very important too. Rio and I have been talking about this, that business writing is important for all organizations, even if you're proposals to your leadership. So it is still important, and it is different. So I know that we all have been writing since our childhood. So, but today we want to, he needs to be good at it. So let's just go to what is the business writing, okay? So we have a question. Is there a difference between business writing, technical writing, and academic writing? Because some people think writing is writing, what's the big deal? So that's why I'm asking the question. In your opinion, is there a difference in those three different things that we write? While people are doing the poll, quick question at the end.
And there's a slight disturbance from your side.
Oh, you cannot hear me properly?
Yeah, voice is breaking in between. That's what.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, I'll just apply the poll results. So,
okay.
Yeah, they are out.
Yeah, 55% agree that there is a difference and 40% didn't answer. But okay, very true, there is a difference, and let's go into that. Okay, answer is yes, so everybody got it right. Okay, so what is the difference? The difference is in the purpose of why we are writing. And therefore, that purpose leads us to a different style and a different form. Okay, So we'll look at the different purpose, and therefore then we'll get into different style. But I'm only going to focus on business writing, but we'll talk about differences in terms of purpose, and then we'll move back to just the business writing because I'm not getting into the other two areas today. To express yourself to your leadership, whereas the technical writing is done to clarify and effectively explain something. Now, what is technical writing? When I buy any kind of software, I get instructions with it, and that's technical writing. When I buy a piece of equipment, I buy a new refrigerator, I get an instruction manual with it. That's technical writing. But that has to be very clear and very effectively explaining something to a person that is not an expert in that area. Okay, so it's a very different way of writing. And then the academic writing, that is very different also because you're doing this for demonstrating your learning. So as a student doing the academic writing for the professor is to show, demonstrate that I have learned this topic. I've thought about this topic. And so I'm trying to impress you that, yes, I've learned this. Okay. So when the faculty write research paper, what they're demonstrating is that, hey, I've done research, I've learned something, and there is a conclusion, and I want you to know that. The papers are important for our promotions, for our new jobs, or whatever. So I'm trying to impress somebody with that. But in business writing, that's not the point. The point is you want to get something done, and you want to get it done quickly. Okay, so that's a basic. Continue focusing on why do you write? When I say you're writing to get answers, okay, you're trying role of management head, your whatever. You have some plans that you want to make sure your upper management is going to approve. So you want to secure their approval. You want to confirm the agreement. Maybe you had a meeting, maybe you had a presentation, and your management in the audience said, yep, that's a good thing, let's go do that. So you're confirming the agreement in a write-up. Or you're recommending a new strategy. In a business, you always have new strategies. You're a business leader, you have new product, you want to introduce new market, you want to introduce new advertising strategy you have. So some new strategy you are recommending. Or you are keeping the interested parties informed, your stakeholders, like for a project manager, a monthly status report. It still has to be short. It still has to give the person contract, or you are an engineering company, the customer for a contract, or your reporting progress. We talked about that as a information. Okay, so these are all the reasons. You may have other reasons, but you get an idea what we are talking about. So let's look at a recommended format, and I recommend this based on my experience as a leader of the organization. I have a number of people report to me, and we found that doing it this way has been very effective. So keep the document to one page with enough margin space. Okay, when first time we start talking about one page, some of the younger engineers get very creative and say, yeah, I can go narrow margin, I can go small font, I can change font. That's not the idea. The idea is that keep a lot of white space on the page, but you want to conform to one page. And I'm going to continue to talk about one page. And I know that it is not easy to complete the document in one page because most of us haven't learned to crystallize our thoughts yet. We write as we think. So to write to, you're going to make multiple drafts. You're going to make a draft, you're going to say, this is superfluous, I don't need this, I can cut this. You have to do it. You have to force yourself to do it. So what are you doing? You're crystallizing your thoughts. And that doesn't, for most of us, that doesn't happen naturally or automatically. We really, really have to train our minds. So one way that also helps is you put headers on your paragraph. Because any of you that have taken the rapid reading type of course, you learn that you don't read the whole paragraph. You read the first sentence of the paragraph, and that tells you whether you want to read the paragraph or not. So any upper management that gets a lot of letters, memos, emails, they have no time to read each one of them in every word that you said. So use headers so it makes it very easy for the reader. One paragraph for one thought. Like I said, the rapid reading people will not read the whole paragraph. So if you have 2 or 3 thoughts in it, guess what? They're going to catch the first one and you're going to miss the second and third. So stay with one paragraph for one thought. Keep it easy to read. Okay. Some of the academic papers, we tend to write long sentences that run 2 lines in one sentence. We keep going back and forth, changing topics in the sentence. Keep it easy. My rule of thumb is no more than 20 words in a sentence. You'll find people saying 15, 25, but I doubt you'll find people saying 2 lines long a sentence is good because people lose track and it takes more time to read that they don't have. Use exhibits for supporting data as attachments. You don't have to cram all the supporting data in the document because you tell them the headlines and you tell them to go look at Appendix A, Appendix B, whatever. If they're interested, they'll go see the attachments. So this is very, very important for a one-page memo. And then we'll talk next in a minute about so how do you format that? But these are important notes, and they come from long years of experience. And every organization needs it. Like I said, whether you're a business, whether you're a college, we are writing business documents. Okay. So then let's look at if we now get to one page, what does the formatting look like? Okay. The all important first paragraph. Because a lot of people won't get past that first paragraph. Or a lot of people, you give them a 5-page document, but they're not clear why you're giving that to them. So the first paragraph needs to telegraph to management. I'm showing my age by using the word telegraph. So young folks, pardon me, you may not even know what I'm talking about. So, but telegraph to management exactly what you're asking of them. And if no action is required, if it is only for information, say so. This document is to inform you about this, period. So if they say, okay, I'll read it tomorrow. But, be very clear exactly what you want. In the next paragraph, then you give the background of why you're writing it. So provide enough information to put your recommendation in perspective. So, exclude any information that is not needed by the reader to understand your recommendation. For example, if you're talking about a variant to a product, you want to vary flavor, you want to vary packaging, you want to do something, there is no reason to talk about all the stuff about how good your product is and, all that information the reader knows already. So tell them what information that supports your recommendation, only that part. Then talk about the basis of your recommendation. So, you have to prioritize your own key reasons in your own mind. You cannot be talking randomly, because again, the risk is that the leader is not going to read all 7 things that you wrote there as priorities, as your key reasons. So if you say key reasons, stay with key reasons and the most important one on the top, and then down, and then down, and then down. Okay? Then you talk some discussion, some detail about, you expand a little bit on how it will be accomplished. How will you do it? Maybe you want to talk about what alternatives you considered and not selected. And you need to have a very honest discussion of risks that are involved in this project, because you're proposing it, you know what the risks are. The reader may not be aware of the risk. And so as a project manager, it is your responsibility to outline what the risks are in this proposal. Okay? Then you summarize your request. That's your last paragraph. Okay? Summarize your request and next steps. So if you had started the document in the first paragraph saying, this is to request authorization for X number of rupees for this project, and then you talked about all the other stuff. In summary, you want to say, this is to request. I conclude by saying, I request so many rupees of authorization for doing this project, and outline key steps that, who will do what. With this, we will start engineering, we will get engineering reports, or we're going to start these studies that will lead us to making decisions or whatever. So who will do it and when you will have the answer. So people who are authorizing you to do something know what is going to happen with that authorization. Where are you going to go with it? Okay? And so to do all this in one page, you have to make several drafts, because trust me, it doesn't come naturally to most of us. If you are able to do it the first shot, you are my hero. Okay. So let's look at, okay, so now you've done this. You formatted it, you made multiple drafts, you got to a one-page memo. Now, if you need somebody to authorize right away at the, when we used to have, this is before email, but even today, this kind of authorization, especially to spend money or to start new business or new something, you write a piece of paper for people to sign off. You don't just send it in email. Or if you send it in email, you follow that up with a piece of paper and have them sign off on the bottom of it. Because if you expect them to write you a letter authorizing it, hey, they're as busy as they are. It may take time. They may forget. It may not happen. So if you provide a space at the bottom, authorized, they can sign it, send it back. And that's the fastest way you can get approval to keep moving ahead. Now, many times, and we'll get into the decision-making area, that if you haven't done all your pre-work, it will not get approved, and they will ask you more questions. But that's the case study we'll look at, okay? So let me continue with this. Now you have to edit the document. Now, so many people tell me when I say edit, oh, yeah. My secretary edits it. My friend edits it. What they mean by that is they're looking at grammar, spelling, those kind of things. I'm talking about something a lot more important than that in editing the document. And you have to edit it yourself, because nobody else knows it better than you do. So what are you editing for? Okay. Is it easy to read? Now, for example, you may have different levels in your hierarchy. Even as a project manager, you may have, somebody that's leading this business, that's somebody that is a group president, blah, blah, different levels of hierarchy. And your your letter, your proposal, your memo could very well get to the second level, the third level, higher above you for consideration. And you have to think about what is it that they know, what is it that they don't know, will they understand it, will they misunderstand it? And so you have to think about your hierarchy. You know your hierarchy. Think about, because why you're writing this memo is to get approval, to get some decisions made. And so make sure that it's easy for them to read it and understand it. Then you say, is it complete? In what I mean by that is the statement of purpose I've made in the first paragraph, is it absolutely clear? Make sure there is no extraneous material. We all are guilty of writing too much stuff for one sentence that we really want to say. So make sure, because that just distracts the reader, okay? Can it be cut? A lot of people, and even I was one of them in my early days, arguing, oh my God, I can't do it in one page. I can't say everything in one page. Try again. Yes, try again. Do try to stay to one page. Sometimes you absolutely cannot get all the data, all the essence in one page. In that case, if you have to go to second page, make sure your most important information, important is your request, and all that stuff is on the first page. Because trust me, many times your management, your leader will not get to second page. Okay, so do try to do it in one, because actually it helps you think differently when you force yourself to do it in one page. But if you have to go to second page, okay, keep important stuff on page one. Next, is it really persuasive? Have you anticipated the questions your management is going to have? Many times, especially younger people, haven't thought about it. They like the idea, so they want to propose, and then they're surprised with, oh, these are the different questions. I never thought about that. Use your other resources. Use your mentors. Bounce it off of them to say, hey, if you were the manager having to answer this, what questions would you have? Am I clear? That kind of stuff. And have you avoided superlative? Oh, this is so fantastically good. No, it doesn't mean anything. It is good, it is not good. What is it doing for the business? And use facts, not opinions. So-and-so thinks this will be good. No, that doesn't mean much. You have to have data to say, what exploration have you done that says this is good? And then at the end, is it correct? Check your facts, check your numbers. There is nothing worse than getting wrong information in your request, because you quickly lose the credibility. And credibility is something very difficult to regain. For one mess that you create, you'll have to go at least 10 times at a boy, they call it. Like, yep, you've done it well, you've done it well. Because people get a mental picture of who you are, and then we all do that. And then we try to fit you in that picture. And so you have to create your credibility with facts, with numbers, with, and then read your proofread for grammar, spelling, typographic errors. I'm not saying that's not important, but that's not the only thing that you want to edit for. Editing for everything is important, and you can do it yourself. And then maybe have your secretary, your friend, your whoever to check grammar, spelling, because if you did it in the first place, you probably would not catch it when you go to check for it. So that's why you need a second set of eyes for that. And very last question, be honest to yourself. If I was reading this memo, put yourself in your boss's seat. If I was reading this memo, would I agree to this recommendation? And don't go with, yeah, if my idea says great, of course I'll agree. No, look at the facts you put on the paper. on the basis of the facts you put on the paper, the data you put on the paper, would you, as the responsible manager of the company, take this recommendation? And if you say, I'm not sure, why not? Then you don't want to put your manager in that place because A, it doesn't help the business. You took away the manager's time. You also hurt your own credibility by proposing something that didn't make sense to your management. Okay? So these are very important things in our what we call one-page memo. Okay? I took a lot of time doing that, but it is important. So let's see if you have any questions that we can that I can answer today. Keith? Hello? Did I lose everybody?
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay.
You're fine. There is one question which says that is there any difference between the three types of writings you mentioned? Are they interlinked? Are they interlinked? That is the question.
The purpose is different. So, I mean, interlink, I don't understand maybe the question properly, but if you're recommending something, it's not a technical writing, it's not direction setting, it's not showing how much you know. That's not, no, not really. You may have information from a research, but that's not what you're writing about, how you did the research, why you did the research, what was the data. You're talking about the results and how that impact the business decision that you want made. That's what I'm focusing on. So I would say not a great deal of connection between the three. There are different reasons to write and different ways to write these three. Yeah.
Okay. I think there are no more questions. We can move on.
Okay. Very good. Folks, we will get back to our case studies, okay? There are two more case studies left. One is the risk management. And again, you have read the case study, but I'll quickly mention it too. And I was the project manager on this. We were doing a paper machine speed up. This is where we made the paper towels and toilet papers. The paper machine was running at about 3,200 feet per minute, making the tissue. And technology folks have come up with changing out some unit operations to speed up.
Excuse me, Jayant.
Yes.
Can you go to that case study? Actually, it is not visible.
I'm sorry. You're absolutely correct. I did not go forward.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. My apologies. So the technology folks had come up with speeding up the machine at 4,200 feet per minute. So it was a substantial increase, 30% gain without having to add more people or anything like that. So it was important to do it. We had planned the entire thing properly. So we had like 29 days from the shutdown to startup. So construction was part of that. We were going to go. The plan was to do construction in the month of January because where the plant was located, we don't get rain and stuff in January, so we could work, around the clock. That's what the plan was. However, the product was selling really well, so we could not shut this machine down. We had 7 machines, but still, we needed product from this machine, the particular product this machine was making. So we didn't get the machine to us, to construction, until June. And so we knew as time was going by that it wasn't going to be January, not February, not March. It will be June when you'll get the machine. Now, the problem was the area where this plant is located, June is rainy season. But the rain is in this area is very unique is that it will get really hot in the daytime. And then in the evening, the clouds will roll in, the lightning will start. And for 2-3 hours, you can't do anything before everything shuts. And so if you have a large crane, because this machine was located And when I talk about a paper machine, it's about 500 feet plus long, and it's there are multiple machines, and so this one was sitting right in the middle of the plant, and so you had to set up a large crane outside in the parking lot and operate from there. So open the roof, take the equipment out, put the new equipment in. And so doing it in June, the risk was that when it starts raining or when it starts lightning or winds are above 15 miles an hour, you cannot operate the crane. So now the 29 days that I had to start from shutting down the business to starting, the machine to starting it back up, I may not be able to do it. And I don't know that today sitting here, what days I will lose because of rain and lightning and all those things. So we had to look at what can we do, because we were not working the crane 24 hours. We were going to work inside the plant 24 hours, but the crane was only going to be operated during the daylight time. So that's when we had to start looking at, man, how can we do it? How can we do it? Because we can't take any more than 29 days because then we don't ship the business. So we did what we call what if action. What if we do this? What if we do that? The analysis. So the team sat around the table putting these options on the board. And what is the cost of this option? And if we don't do it, what is the cost of lost production? And so where we came out was that, why can't we use the crane at night? And my construction superintendent looked at me and said, no, you can't. It's at night. If the crane operator doesn't have line of sight because of darkness, then he can't operate the crane. And I said, well, we play football at night in the stadium that we light up. And that little ball is visible to everybody. So why can't we do that here? And he said, you mean you want me to light up the area like a football field? I said, is it feasible? He said, yeah, it will cost us money. I said, okay, now we are talking business. Cost us money, how much? Tell me how much money it will cost. I want to operate the crane every hour of the 24 hours that there is no rain or no wind or no lightning, day or night. And he thought I was nuts. He said, well, we can't afford it. I said, I don't know that. Tell me. So he went off and came back with his numbers, and we looked at what we would lose if we were delayed by 7 days was made up, by, so there was cost of lighting up the area, but cost was less than what we would lose in production. And anybody who has product on the shelf knows that if your product is not on the shelf, your competition takes over and you may never get back on the shelf. So it's a very tough business to be off the shelf. So anyway, we floodlit the area. We completed the work on original schedule in the number of outage days, the 28 days that we had. And we had no safety incidents because that was a big, big, big concern. So of course we had to beef up our safety team or safety procedures. So it was a true win-win. And also it was a great example of managing risk. Okay, so let's look at some questions on this again. Keith, a poll on, was it right to look for options? Or should we have just told the company, hey, look, you didn't give me the machine until June, what do you expect? Even though I work for the same company as the production people do, I could put a stake in the ground and say, now it's monsoon season, I can't do it. So, or I could say, what are the options? So was it right to look for options? Okay, so the answers coming in, Keith?
Yeah, Just 5 more seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, the answers are out.
Yeah, 54% says yes. I'm curious why 44% had no answer. Either they couldn't access the thing or, but okay. So 54% yes is right. We work for the same company. We are part of the same team. So we can't just sit there and say, hey, you didn't give me the machine in January, and now it's going to take you more. Because then we are not working towards the same objective. So, no, you're absolutely correct that we had to look at the options. Okay. So then the next question is, this is more of a chat question. What would you have liked to see done here? Something different. I mean, what we did was we looked at several options, but is there any quick somebody coming up saying, I would do it this way?
Yeah, if you have your opinion, you can just post it on the chat box. So one person says that he agrees with your approach.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? No, I appreciate the response. Anything else?
Doesn't look like.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we can go to looking at risk management. Okay. What is risk management and how to deal with risk? And I think Mr. Rao had said earlier that risk management was also a very important topic for him. And I'm talking about business risk management. I'm not talking about human risk. Okay, so this is a business risk. It's the process of identifying, assessing, and controlling threats to an organization's capital and earning. So if I'm taking a risk that's going to cause a lot of damage to the property, the plant building, the plant equipment, that's a risk. Or if I'm not going to be back in operation on the time that I'm required to or I committed to, or sometimes I may not be committed to, but it's just, folks, we cannot take any more than these days with the risk of, that we will not be able to supply product to the market. So those are real concerns. So those are real earning issues, organizational earnings issues. So that's the risk I'm talking about. It's not about flying an airplane and having risk of people. That's a whole different type of risk management. I'm talking about business risk management, okay? So one effective way to address this, what I've done a lot of is, and it's not a very sophisticated name, it says, what if? You take your team, you sit in the room, take a big bunch of boards or flip charts or something, and you say, what if we do this? What if this happens? I mean, this is not only for when there is a problem. This is also looking at potential problems. Sometimes you have not thought about it, but you need to. What if the iron workers go on strike? Well, why would they go on strike? Oh, is their contract up for negotiation in the middle of my project? So what happens if they are? What if we lose the truckers or the rail line goes, for technical reasons? Or what will I do if that doesn't work? So identify what happens, what is a potential to happen, potential problem. Once you define what could happen for each of that problem, what are the ways to keep that X from happening? And sometimes the ways are in your control. Sometimes they're not in your control. They're in somebody else's control. And you could just as easily say, I don't control that. Well, I could have said that about the weather. I don't control that. But so what can I do if that was going to happen to me? What can I do? what are the ways I can keep that from happening? If iron workers are going to go on strike, what can I do? I don't know. Let's go find out from their union leaders. Or is there an option of bringing somebody else or doing some work ahead of time or, whatever. There are many options. And then what is the cost to the company if that problem happened that we identified in number one? What is the cost to the company? I don't want this narrow focus of cost to the project, cost to the company if that happens. And if I have a way of finding a way around that, if that was to happen, what will that cost? So then you have to put the two of them together and evaluate your multiple options. Then make a recommendation to your management. But you have to first have these multiple options and say, what is the probability of this happening, that happening, and what is the best answer, and then propose. What is the best proposal that you have? And that now gets back into your business writing. But that is the risk management, is to analyze the risk first and analyze the cost. There is everything that can happen to the company. There is a cost to doing it. Cost to avoid it, cost to not avoid it. Which cost is better? From my consumer product background, meeting the schedule is the ultimate because the product has to be made and has to be on the shelf. So, if you're building the bridge like Mr. Rao was talking about, at least they had to float that option. If we could do this to keep it on track, this will cost so much. So that's the increase in the budget. Why didn't we know it before? Why didn't we think of it before? Well, okay, maybe we just missed it. That's bad, but that's the honest truth. Sometimes you have to be honest and accept your miss. So, okay. And this is not done very often, I find. People just let things happen to them and then say, well, it happened. What do you mean it happened? Did you even try to forecast that it could happen and therefore avoid it? So anyway, are there any questions?
I request the participants, if you have any questions, please post it in the chat box. Questions that are related to risk management. Okay, for your previous chat question, somebody has posted an answer. So he has replied that he would have possibly, possibility of taking a breakdown and cover the possible loss of time due to the storms to the implication of technology upgrades of 4,200 FPM.
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't catch it. I'm sorry, but maybe you can send it to me later.
Yeah.
They have a technological solution, they're saying?
Yeah, he's telling that you could you implement the technology upgrades of 4,200 FPM.
Yeah, feet per minute.
Yeah.
But to do that, I have to change the machine, take out the part. That's what the construction job was about. That's exactly what I was trying to do. Okay. Okay, any questions on risk management? I appreciate your answer, but maybe we need some more discussion to clarify to each other. So any questions on risk management, risk analysis?
Yeah, I think no questions. We can go to the next one. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So let's go to decision making. But more importantly, decision making, what's involved. And if you understand what's involved, then, okay. This is the case, again, you have read it, where was a consumer product company and the product development folks had come up with a variation to an existing product, okay, because they had tested it in the market and the marketability was great and it would increase the company's share in of that product area by having a new variant, maybe a new flavor, maybe a new package, but variant. Engineering group was brought in to find out how much would it cost? Because obviously we have to have some new process, new equipment, new packing. So engineering team developed the plans, and they started their design engineering effort because it's in-house engineering team, and they started to inquire for the availability of equipment to build a new production line. Then they went to their chief engineer and they said, hey, we can be in production in 10 months from today. So they're assuming they have a go decision. From 10 months from today, we can be in production, and please give us approval of 2 crore rupees because we have to start buying equipment. We already placed orders. The chief engineer was caught by surprise, totally surprised. He said, whoa, folks, I cannot authorize this kind of funding request without getting approval from hierarchy, from different departments. And it's not going to be a day. It's going to take me at least a month. And I'm going to accelerate this process, do it as fast as I can. But trust me, it's going to take me a month. I can't get you 2 crore rupees approval to start buying equipment right away. The engineering team was devastated. Like, oh my God, we give you this such a great proposal. We're going to do it in 10 months in 2 crore rupees. And now you're telling me that we can't have the approval for a month. Now we're going to lose face to our, contractors, equipment manufacturers. It's embarrassment in the marketplace. Next time we go place orders, they're not going to want to talk to us. So they're all upset. But the engineer says, chief engineer says, folks, I have to go up the organization and get approval to this kind of work before I can give you approval for money. 2 crore rupees, I have to get approval. Okay, so let's look at a couple of questions. What did the engineering team overlook? Number one, did they think about who can authorize the introduction of a new product? Even though it's a variant, it's a new product in the marketplace. There are people that are responsible for that. Did the engineering team have a sign-off of charter before they made commitments in the marketplace? Were they chartered? Did they have a go-ahead? And what was the financial authority level they had? So what did they overlook? A, B, or C? Okay, we are done with the poll.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for them to submit it.
Yeah.
Okay, the results are in front of you.
Oh, 71%, no answer.
Yeah, mostly they have started traveling, maybe. Yeah, they're listening on the go. Maybe. They might have, they might be traveling and they are listening on the go, maybe.
Okay, because they have to close in 7 minutes. Okay. So yeah, who can authorize a product change? You cannot. They didn't have a charter signed off. That's right on. But also the financial authority. Let's talk quickly about where that is. So, okay. And you want me to stop 5 minutes before, right?
No, you can go on. We can finish this section. Yeah.
Okay, so we will not get to the charter.
Yeah, okay. May not be possible, yeah.
All right. Okay, the rules in decision making, and I'll rush through it, is find out what is your authority level for making the decision in your company. Each company has their own person. Each level has basic authority. Okay, There will be a financial limit. You just need to understand what that financial limit is for you, for your level. Find out the authority level for different levels in management. How far do you have to go for what amount of money you're looking for? And then look at the sequence of reviews. You have to go step by step. So different people have to be brought in on this decision. And that takes time. So look at all the different levels and find out what kind of decisions are made by whom in the company. About purchasing equipment, signing contracts, subcontracts, hiring and firing of people, promoting people, pay raises. There are all different types of decisions that have to be made by all different types of people. So it's very important that you know about decision-making process. All right. Do I stop now because we have to wrap up in 5 minutes? Do I quickly?
I think you can quickly go through this if possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I wanted a couple minutes to make the comments in the end, and then Rio, I think, wanted to make some comments at the end. So.
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Okay. So what is a project charter and why we write it? And very important, the charter defines the objectives of the project as well as the reason behind doing the project. Okay. Why is it important? Because it helps crystallize project leaders' thoughts. And you may have heard me saying crystallizing your thoughts. Is project managers have to learn on how to crystallize their thoughts on what are we planning to accomplish. It establishes the stakeholders buy-in. Who are the stakeholders? Are they bought into? Who are the team members and what are their roles? It helps the team members and customers to understand what is coming to them and when it is coming to them. That way others know the potential impact of their work. If the charter isn't completed correctly at the beginning of the project, issues come up and you can miss the expectations of the stakeholders that could impact other projects that you are unaware of, but they are unaware of what you're working on. Now, just a quick commentary. In some organizations, project chartering has had a bad reputation for a variety of reasons. Just want to acknowledge that if you are in one of those organizations, we may have a different conversation outside of here. But I recommend having a charter because it sets a contract between the project manager and the company. So it protects both of us, the company and the project manager. It also gives you a baseline because changes will happen to the project. But what are you changing from? Unless you have a baseline, you can't change from that. So this establishes a change line, a baseline, and then you can get approval to the change. Now, the big issue in the industry today is who writes the project charter. In theory, it's the higher up in the organization that's putting the project manager in the role to do the job needs to write the project charter. Reality is I have never had my hierarchy write the charter for me. I had to write the charter and give it to them for their signature. And then they gave me input. It's much more difficult for people to start working with a blank sheet. That's the role project manager can help them because it helps the project manager to do the job. And the next sheet, we can just send it out to people if they want, is what are the things that go into a good project charter. And this is based on number of years of experience in this project chartering business. Trust me, you have a charter, you have a much better chance of succeeding. If you don't have a charter, a lot of times goes into finger pointing, blaming somebody else, looking for a scapegoat. So I will stop it here because we really don't have the time to finish this. We okay to do that, Keith and Rio?
Yeah, sure, sir.
Okay, I'll make quick closing remarks and then I can give it to Rio. I was in a national project management conference in 2017 in Mumbai, and they did a survey and they asked the people that were in attendance, and these were all practicing project managers in Mumbai, and 82%, they asked them that, do we have enough project managers to deliver Vision India? Now, in your case, like Mr. Rao talked about, not necessarily complete Vision India, but you got parts of Vision India, like the smart city and the work going on at the port, and a lot of stuff happening. So the question is, do we have enough project managers to deliver that vision? And the answer in 2017 was 82% of the attendees felt that we do not have enough qualified project managers to deliver. And the second part of the question was, those that are qualified, they have enough experience to deliver these major complex projects. And they said 75% of the attendees felt that the current pool of project managers do not have required depth of experience. And experience is something you can't buy. That's why it's called experience. So I have a feeling the similar situation is in Mangalore, and we need to do more work to help. Okay, thank you very much, folks. I enjoyed doing it. I hope you have enjoyed being here and you learned something from it. And I'll turn it over to Rio for closing comments.
Any questions, Keith, which have to be answered?
We have taken care of all the questions, sir.
So far, okay. So nothing pending now.
Nothing pending.
Okay. In that case, I would like to thank Mr. Jayant Sathe. Thank you so much, Jayant. And it was great listening to you. And I'm sure all the participants also agree with me that you have added a lot of new dimensions to what we already might have known about project management, new insights. I'm sure some of these things are the ones which actually are dogging the project management scenario around. And with this sort of a input, I'm sure we will be able to take care of many of the problems. Like Mr. Prakash Rao mentioned, that some of the problems were more to do with the way the government machinery works or some organization works. But then you have addressed some of these issues which are to do with personal relationships and the organization, the relationship within the organization, conflict management, and some of the things about writing effective business memos. I think these are some of the essential things which can set right and put projects on track. Thank you so much, from our institution and from St. Joseph Engineering College, and on behalf of all the associations associated with us, I would like to thank you, and also on behalf of all the participants, thank you so much. Thank you. It was a pleasure listening to you. Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure. And I can continue to talk about different subjects if that's what you and your organization wishes.
We will take this dialogue forward. We will have more sessions, I promise you. Definitely, yes.
Because I'm passionate.
To do something, yes. Maybe have a course on this. Yeah, we will do that, yes.
Yeah, I'm passionate about this subject, and I promise Keith I'll work with him to develop a course for the students. It's a little different perspective because we have to figure out how they experience it too. If it's just a classroom course, they will get 5% out of it. But if we can couple it up with some other stuff like projects, we'll talk that separately. But there are opportunities. There are a lot of opportunities, and there are big needs.
Our team is waiting to give vote of thanks. Please go ahead.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Jayant Sathe sir, for a wonderful session. It was a very interesting session with lots of real-time case studies which we face in the industry in day-to-day, life. The session had a great insight into different aspects of project management, and I hope it helped to change the perspective of approaching conflict and risk involved in projects and managing it with open-mindedness in many of our participants. Thank you once again for accepting our invitation and spending your valuable time with us. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So, feedback link is posted in the chat box. Please fill the feedback form and collect your e-certificate. I thank our principal, Dr. Rio D'Souza, for being a strong support system, motivation, and guide to conduct this workshop smoothly. Thank you, sir. I thank our management for creating this wonderful opportunity to conduct this workshop. I thank Mr. Keith Fernandez for assisting Mr. Jayant Sathe sir in his presentation with necessary technical support and for helping us to run a very interactive session throughout. I thank all our organizing committee members and industry partners for giving a wide publicity to this workshop and making it a grand success. I thank Mr. Rajesh Raju sir and all the technical team in CCC for giving necessary logistic support to run the session. Last but not the least, I thank our active participants for making this workshop a great success. Thank you all.
Thank you. Mr. Rao, you have any comments?
Any comments from Prakash Rao, sir?
Or did he sign off?
No, he's there. He's there. Yeah. Any comments from you?
Yeah, I'm there, but I missed a bit of your session also, as I had an audit going on in my factory. So I was a little off and on, but I know we will keep in touch, and I'm hoping you recorded this whole proceedings where I will be going through it. I know it will be useful for you.
We have recorded. You have recorded.
Yes. We will go through it, and I will come back to you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Also, thank you, Mr. Jagdish. I think you're still there. Thank you so much.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yeah.
And thank you. Good work. Good job.
Thank you, the whole team. Keith, you were my lifeline, man. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right.
Okay, we can sign off. I think we'll have a debrief some other time, Jayant.
Yeah. You let me know when you're ready, and yeah. Okay.
We'll do that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye. We'll sign off.